Recording in progress.
So you wanted me to talk about Obsidian more than what
Yeah,
I did in that video?
yeah. Just start from scratch and then kind of explain why you went there in the first place and how you did things.
Sure, let me share my screen. So this is my GitHub repository for the lawn tractor. Previously, I had been using Microsoft OneNote and I didn't really have any structure to it. I sort of put stuff here, there, and yonder. But I liked Microsoft OneNote because you could cut and paste things. It had the sort of the book, chapter, verse kind of metaphor, but there was no connection between it and the outside world in the AI space. So you couldn't really, reference it or get it to interact with it. And a friend had mentioned Obsidian, and I had never heard of it before, and spent a little bit of time learning about it. And effectively, for me, it is a markdown version of a note-taking tool similar to OneNote. So that's how I'm
Oh,
holding it in my head, so to speak, is it's a note-taking tool. And oh, by the way, its structure is such, or Claude AI has worked it such that if you have a claude.md file um, that you feed it, it will take that in and include that as context. So whenever you're talking to Claude, it will use this MD file and whatever you feed it here, it's going to know.
oh,
And
okay.
so this is, you know, the contents of my Claude MD file that would get loaded every time that I started Claude code. And I say Claude code um, because, as I understand it, there's Claude, the web version. In Windows, there's Claude Windows application. I think they call Claude AI. And then there's Claude Code, which is, you know, a tool that runs probably on multiple platforms, but I think it runs on Macintosh and Linux. So I have a new Ubuntu machine that I loaded Claude Code on. And so this is my first attempt at a Claude MD file, and this is my first attempt at, they say vault. Effectively, it's a journal, a notebook,
Okay.
a folder.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get too hung up on the language they've used, which to me is a little bit non-intuitive, but they say vault. So, and since it's an Obsidian product, I just labeled this Obsidian Vault. And I put these, whatever that is, 6 folders in there. And so going back to my original GitHub, I have, my GitHub, I was using it for code, and I had code specifically to the RTK base. I had code for the radio control. I had code for the Raspberry Pi that runs on my tractor, and I had code that runs on the microcontroller Teensy. So if I go into my Obsidian Vault under the design folder, you're going to see generally a similar structure here is Now, these are notes, things that I want to capture and I've written down that are not code related to the base, related to the radio control, and
Mhm.
related to the tractor. And in the tractor, because I have, multiple components, I have a folder for multiple components. So if I go to my Teensy, this just happens to be a PDF of the
Oh, yeah.
pin
Nice.
layout of the Teensy. And this is an MD file of notes that I took while I was trying to create an Ethernet data logger on my Teensy. So um, this goes back to, let me go back to Slack for a second. Um, so in my process of trying to create or leverage or use this SD card and this Ethernet port on this Teensy, I took notes, and these are the notes that is sort of the summation of the notes regarding that process. Now, this isn't the code. These are just notes. If the code actually isn't, uh, yeah, it says this isn't an active link, but it at least says where the code is. So over here in my, um, see, tractor RPI, testing, um, Ethernet phase one, you would actually see the code that I was mucking around with as I was doing that. So in one place now, I have notes and my code, and it's all under GitHub version control.
Okay.
Questions?
So could you repeat how you linked Claude to Obsidian?
Well, there's a couple of ways that I would uh, comment on that. So um, this is my Ubuntu laptop.
Okay.
To link Claude and Obsidian, I go to my Ubuntu laptop and I go to my folder where my GitHub repo is, my Ubuntu laptop version of that repo. So
Okay.
this Tractor 25
Mm-hmm.
is a clone of this Tractor
Oh,
2025.
your GitHub. Okay.
Right. And when I launch, see this Claude MD file?
Yeah.
If I go back to my Ubuntu laptop, here's that Claude MD file.
Okay.
And when I launch Claude, Claude by default goes out and looks for that file. When I launch Claude Code, this is Claude Code.
Okay.
So to answer your question, that's how I connect Claude and Obsidian
Oh,
because
okay.
um, I think it's going to be able to answer this question. Can you tell me what my Obsidian folder structure is. So it
Oh,
knows that context.
okay. Nice. I've been struggling on trying to figure out how to organize things.
Yeah, and I am not convinced that by any way, shape, or form, this is, I mean, my structure relies on a few things, right? My structure relies on number one, that I've got GitHub and I want to mix my notes, which is what I'm using Obsidian for, and my code. So that's
Okay.
one big deal. That's one big sort of um, decision that I've taken. Then the next decision is if I want to put a folder of notes in my GitHub, what's that folder structure? And this is what I've planned, test, design, reference, future ideas, and attachments. Those are the folders that I've chosen to have as my first layer within
Oh, yes.
the journal. Think of it as a journal. Think of it as
Yeah.
a notebook.
Okay.
And in the design folder, I'm trying to mirror the physical things that have code. My RTK base has code, my radio control has code, and my tractor has
Okay.
code. But it's actually, my tractor is made up of these 9 or 10 elements.
Okay.
That's my metaphor. That's my
Yeah.
structure.
Okay.
And I reached that by having a series of notes that were disorganized. They weren't disorganized. They were less than ideal, but I started with Microsoft OneNote and I'm trying to get a little bit more less chaotic with the Obsidian note-taking tool.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. And then, of course, you can link all of that with your 3D printer now, right? Kind of, sort of.
Well, um, uh, yes, I could. I haven't yet.
Oh,
So the I might have some notes in here about um well, I don't have anything in here for that. Haven't really put anything in here. My 3D printer that I'm jumping over to, this is Fusion 360.
oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, this is what that looks like in real life, and what that's going to do is hold my RPi and my USB drive.
Okay.
I could, but I haven't yet download this Fusion 360 file, and I could store that as a binary file over here. I haven't done that yet. So there is, when you say I could link it to my 3D printing, yes, I could, but I haven't.
Oh, okay. This way you got more control and
Yeah, it's less about control and more about there's an administrative overhead to trying to keep
oh,
version control in place if I start storing 3D
oh,
printed files in here. It's
okay.
not as easy as GitHub and the code to know what version you're on. There's not really strong connectors yet between Fusion 360 and Claude. There is some, but it's still pretty mediocre in my opinion.
Okay. Hmm.
What questions do you have? Your video is not on, by the way.
Oh, okay. There we go. Um, I think I'm beginning to understand better. Maybe if I kind of go through the aches and pains I've had this week, I'll share my screen. Share. Okay. Entire screen. Yep. Share. And now, let's see. Oh, okay. Now I'll go over to Claude. And can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I would take small chats and start trying to debug code. And long story short, if it gets too long, then it starts to hallucinate. So then, and I forget which um, chat I was talking in and working with. So one of the things I did just recently is I asked it to outline. I don't know if I can see it yet. Come on.
Try the yellow box.
Oh, okay. So I've hit my limit, and now it's really slowing down. But anyway, I asked it to outline, and one of the things it came up with is here was your the current symptoms that I had, where things were working and not working, and I don't know. It just this thing doesn't want to move very easily. Oh, yeah. The problem was this: my arrow mapping was wrong in the stack, and it took me through the drive program and we debugged that, and I had some wires crossed up. Now the problem seems to be in my index file and something called status, and I've got to work on that. But then when I think last week I started taking all the files here and put them on Obsidian, and then I heard of something called a map of content because everything was getting so um, let's see, yeah, that's what it looked like. And it just, where in the hell am I and what's going on? So I came down here and made my first dashboard. So this was the design that I put in. Then these are each of the chats that I had developing stuff. And right here on this one, that's when I started having a lot of trouble. But then I get lost in the long dialogue, and that's when it said there's a way of uh, getting an outline of it. And so that's what I'm doing. So with each of this, this, these, I'll do the outline to summarize what it is. Um,
Can I ask, where are you storing your code? How do you upload your code to the actual physical? I don't know. Is this for the RPi or is this for the Jetson Nano?
the code is in the RPi and the Nano, and then I have backups on gedit, as an editor.
So in your RPi, you just have sort of a folder for Python code or something, and it's all in
Right.
there.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find one. I'll, I have to SSH, like, come on, SSH, and we'll go to the Pi first. 192.168.4.153 nanobot, and then I'll do a ls, and the directory I'm using is over here on called nanobot,
Hmm.
and there's another directory on the nanobot, and it's organized like this. So I've got the configure file, the drive, and my server. And so then let's see if I can get my call up another window and get into the nano. Okay. And hopefully I'll get one there. Things are really slowing down. Come on. Okay. Yeah. Do 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 do.
Yeah, that's really a long time to log into a Linux
Yeah. Yeah.
single board computer.
Yeah. Something happened here. It must have locked up. Well, anyway,
Can you go back to the ls that you did on your Python code?
yeah. Here's here are the files.
So those three Python files, config, drive, and TCP server, I'm
That's all.
curious how long have you had those three Python scripts? And because if the answer is you've had them a long time and you don't plan on changing them, maybe you should organize your notes around config drive and TCP underscore
Yes.
server.
Yep. Because sometimes, as obvious as server and client is, sometimes I forget where the server is supposed to be, whether it's supposed to be on the Pi or on the Nano. But I'm slowly beginning to realize TCP is, what the server and client functions are. Oh, here we go. Finally got into Nanobot.
Yeah, the message I'm trying to suggest is if those program names aren't changing very often, but you're just changing what's in that Python script and continuing to add to it and correct errors,
Yeah, yeah,
then
that's exactly.
maybe your notes need to be around. I have these notes for config.py. I don't know, because maybe it's giving you changes that cross all three of those at the same time.
Yeah,
Um, that probably would, if it's giving you, if it's regenerating code for all three of those in one chat,
yeah,
then that probably wouldn't, I wouldn't go that way. But
yeah. Well, I took one chat for each program, and then um, as it as Claude said, this works. It took me to the next step, which was the drive, debug that in Claude, and then said, "Well, now you're ready for the server." So it helped me do that. And then same thing with the Nano. But I've got so many chats that I've lost track of the chats that are used to develop those Pi programs.
Do you
So
have anywhere in your notes a list of steps you're trying to accomplish?
yeah,
Where's that data? Where are those notes?
um, let's see. That would be at my dashboard. That would be the chats that I use to develop those Pi programs on the Pi and the Nano. But looking at this, I can't tell. So that's why I went with the outline idea. Give me an outline of what this one is or where I'm at. And let's see.
I
Hmm,
mean, I think having a table of contents is useful and helpful. I mean, that's basically, I had never heard that term MOC until recently, but I'm like,
no.
oh, you mean a table of contents? Yeah, that's a table of
Yeah.
contents.
Now, like ideally, I'd like to be able to put that outline underneath each one, tab in and then put an outline here. So I have a very quick look at what that one was about.
Forget what you've documented here. If you were just answering the question, so what are you working on now and trying to get to work? How would you answer that?
Right now, the problem are my drive arrows that, um,
So you're trying to get your web interface to drive the motors correctly.
right. Yeah, the user interface to drive the motors. And
And
the
once you get
problem
that
is,
done, what's your next step?
um, after I fix that, then hopefully I'll drive the thing around remotely. And
You'll,
that'll be the,
and that's typically called teleoperation.
yeah,
Um, so
right,
you want to get your web interface fixed, and then you want to test your web interface.
right. Yep.
And so if I said what you're working on now is your web interface, do you how many chats do you have focused on getting your web interface fixed?
Um, there was like two of them. I started with one and then I had all kinds of problems. So I then started a second version and I run into that problem again. So
Which problem? The wiring problem?
no, the arrow assignments in the user interface.
I mean, so what you're describing, forget your notes for a second. I'm thinking of it in buckets. So you're trying to get your web interface what's referred to as desk checked.
Yeah,
Um, and if I were breaking that down into further pieces, it would be, I want to get my up arrow working. I want to get my down arrow working. I want to get my left arrow working. I want to get my right arrow working.
correct. Yep.
Um, I literally would probably have a chat for each one of those, or I mean, I would break the daggone testing down to one of those at a time and break the chat down to one at a time because again, I'm old and forgetful and not very focused sometimes. So I'm like, oh, what do I got to get done
Oh,
today?
yeah. Break it down into smaller pieces.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
like that idea.
and if the notion is all I want to do is get my up arrow working,
Yep.
then I would probably focus on, okay, what do I need to do to get my up arrow working?
Yeah.
That's just my twisted logic.
No,
Bob.
I like that idea. Oh,
Because if
um,
it starts throwing too much at you, and
yeah,
you've got to test wiring, and then you've got to come back to it later because of the your tokens ran out. I mean,
yeah,
the smaller you can break it down, the better is my
right.
sort of mantra.
Yeah, I think I was trying to fix them all at one time, and you really can't. You
Well,
should,
maybe you can. I don't know. I'm just giving you my feedback. I
yeah,
focus, focus, focus.
yeah. Well, I think that's what I'll do then is just break it down arrow by arrow. So, oh, one other thing I did just for giggles, um, I started collecting information on how Jeff did his mini tractor. Also, I wanted a link to all the videos that he created. And then there was something else here too.
And so those are notes that you've taken?
No, those are actually the links to the videos.
Oh, okay.
So, so I can go here and click on that. But now my machine is going really, really slow. So it would probably take a long time to get there.
How much memory is in that machine?
Not much, about eight gig, 8 gigabytes. So here it's coming up with all of the 33 videos that he assembled in one location. So there's all of it. There's 33 put together at one location.
Oh, I don't remember him doing that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just started searching for Jeff Sampson and robots, and then I started finding videos, and it goes way back to TC Robot days.
Hmm.
Yeah, and using RoboRealm was his first venture into computer vision. And then let's see what else have I done here. Let's get back to Obsidian, and then there was also the index. Now where does that go? Here it is. The the Ross index that he put together,
Right.
and so I think it'll go there. Again, that this thing is really going slow, but there's his book from the thing that you backed up.
Right.
So, and that was just one of them. And let's pick another one for giggles. The 20 back in 2023. There, that's all the text. And from here, I can select the um, the web link, like this community meeting right here, YouTube watch.
Right.
So I won't go there, but but anyhow. So the other thing I read was to help prevent the chats from getting confused. Instead of doing individual chats, create a project and then put the chats in there, and then they will stay focused from one chat to the next one.
I would definitely, so you don't have a project in your Claude interface? You're just having
No, I have not
individual
created one.
chats?
Yeah, I've got to do that. Right, I will be
Yeah,
doing that.
it's as simple as, I mean, it takes 2 minutes. So, um,
Yeah.
and I think now you can copy chats to a project. So if you create a project, you can organize these things. And if you click one of those three dots on the right side of one of your chats,
Oh, yeah.
well,
Um,
we'll just go right at,
like, like that one.
yeah, add to project.
Or add to project.
So click on new
Yeah, I'll
project
do
in the
that.
middle. Click on new project in the middle of the page there
Um,
to the right.
oh, starring. Oh, new project. Duh. Okay. Oh, I've hit my limit.
Uh, Close that X. I'm not sure that would block you from creating a new
Oh, there
project.
it is. Okay, here we go. I'll just call it nanobot.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Oh, what are you trying to achieve?
Don't worry about
Okay.
that. Just click create.
Yeah.
They'll figure
Just
it out.
create it. And now I just go over to the left and hit my three dots and start adding.
That'd be what I would recommend.
Yeah. I'll start doing that.
And I would just do the last, you know, three or four that are important because that probably has your most up-to-date data in it. And
Yeah.
it will be able to read those as context files under that project when you create
Okay.
a new
Okay.
chat under
Yeah.
that project. But then you want to come and open up the nanobot project first before you start any new conversation.
Yeah. I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah. I like that better.
Because maybe what it's one of the reasons you're bumping up against your limit is it's trying to read all of those every
Oh,
time you
sure.
start a
Yeah.
conversation.
It's sucking up all the tokens.
I don't know. It's just purely a guess on my part.
Okay. Well, I got a clear path of what I want to finish this week.
So I'm going to share my screen. Um,
Whoops, where'd I go? Um,
you're still sharing your
there you
screen.
are.
So if I go into my repository and I go to my notes, I have this note file called milestone. And so these are things that I'm trying to get done. And so my next thing is to confirm my transmission settings for my motor controller called a JRK motor controller.
Okay.
and then do a manual test drive with my radio control. And after that, then I'm going to try to do my teleoperation too, but I haven't, although I previously tested some stuff, I haven't got it fully tested yet.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice layout. I like that. That the way it's organized.
So, and then after that would be to go back and get my GPS data
Okay.
organized.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on here.
Okay. I think I'll add milestones to that project folder.
Focus, 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 Bob.
Yep. I'm easily distracted.
Uh,
So,
that's for, I'm not going to say that, but I just know you can have a lot of squirrels to go chase.
so,
Speaking from personal experience.
okay. Um, well, I suppose I better get
Okay,
started.
we'll
We'll
talk.
talk with you next.
Sounds good.